Hi, Kim, right? Kim, just getting set up. Oh, does anyone else getting sick? Um, Sorry for my voice today. I woke up with like that tickle, my throat, and I'm being a huge baby. I hate being sick. So we got just a couple minutes. Today's going to be so good, you guys. So good. So excited.
Well, even in the beginning here, I have a question about your enabling your note taker. I definitely need help with that.
Yeah, I don't use note takers. So what one do you use?
I don't actually use it. I just saw that it was enabled, so maybe you didn't do it. Maybe someone else did it.
Yeah, so like Fiona, I know who this is. Like she she can't make the meeting. She's in England, so she registered with, I'm not even sure, I guess she renamed this. I don't know which one she's using, but like I see Renee Meat Geek. You can check that out. I know there's a ton of them. I can pull like a list of they have like some free, some paid. Um, I can send you, I'll email you a list of like different options.
That would be wonderful. I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, sure, sure. No, I want to get into that too. So I need to like find one. Carla, hi. Carla, do you use a note taker? Like a meeting recorder or anything like that?
I can't. We're not really allowed to do that here.
Yeah, same. Hi Molly.
Although I have given some consideration, I can't do it when I'm in the office, but like when I'm at home, recording it on my phone
Hmm.
and then doing the translation. But I'm sure that that would promote me to customer pretty quickly.
Right. Um,
I that maybe I was confused then because I was thinking that it was a note taker, kind of like in your when you're in a meeting and you're taking notes to that meeting, not necessarily just recording the meeting because you can't make it. It's more for taking notes while you're in that meeting to assist
it
you with
does
that.
sum up like it. I've seen plenty of people that do like it'll provide a summary and or like dictate what everyone says in the meeting
Hmm.
depending on which which one you use. I know
Yeah,
there's different features.
I have Copilot, but they have yet, or maybe I have not learned yet, to figure out how to do that with Copilot when there is a in-person meeting along with a virtual meeting. It will understand who's speaking in the virtual meeting, but of course, it won't understand who's speaking in the in-person meeting.
Sure,
So,
sure. Yeah, I used
uh,
Otter. Well, hi Matt. I'll send a list of different like I'll have ChatGPT do like a list with like a breakdown of features for each of the like most popular note takers.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
Um, let's see. I'll we'll wait just like a minute or so to get kicked off. But you guys, I'm so excited for today. I've been waiting for like this day for so long. I don't know if you guys are all familiar with Execify, but it's been in development for a long time. Matt is the founder. He and I started connecting probably a year ago. And he was super interested in hearing like the pain points of EAs and just wanted to take everything in to try and build this platform into something amazing. And the demo that I saw like way back, it just blew me away. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. So I've been super excited to get that call from him saying that it's live, and I don't want to take up any more time. So Matt, thank you so much. So grateful that you're here and so excited. I'll pass it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Courtney. This is exciting to be on this call. It's a long time coming. Hey, everybody. My name is Matt Oden. I'm based out here in California. And about a year and a half ago, we started down this journey. I had a realization, having worked in corporate and nonprofits and executive leadership, that a lot of critical business processes and functions were going through the EA teams, the EBPs, the admins. But in many organizations, people didn't really know always what they do, what they're responsible for, and how high their output was. And there didn't seem to be a good platform that had been built to help with automation of some of the repeating tasks and things that happen in the job function. And so we started, um, I came up with this idea. This was long before we even knew the name Execify and had started building the platform, but came up with this concept and started trial pitching it at a startup conference. And unlike most of my other like harebrained startup ideas over the years, having worked at 11 different startups, where people are kind of like, huh, tell me more. People started nodding, like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. That makes sense. Like right out, with the 30-second pitch, which is, a platform to integrate a lot of the tooling and things for EAs so that they can help increase executive productivity and bring the stress down in their day-to-day life, a platform for onboarding, for offboarding, and people started just kind of head nodding. So I called my co-founder, who I'd worked with at the previous two companies, who's highly technical, who's our CTO, Will, and I pitched it to him, and he was kind of quiet for a while. And then he said, I really like it. Let's do it. And that is when it started. And so I said, okay, well, Will, I need you to look into the Google Calendar and the Outlook Calendar APIs and start to map this out. Here's a couple ideas on some quick wins I think we could get. And I will go out and interview 50 executive assistants to start. So at this point in the journey, I have interviewed and demoed and talked to over 400 executive assistants in order to inform and build the platform out that represent a variety of industries and job functions and multi-exec and hybrid and pools and virtual, but mostly in mid-sized to larger organizations is really what we're trying to build for, knowing that with that, the smaller organizations would benefit from it as well. But we really want to solve for the business problem, right? Which is why we eventually settled on the term of how we brand our platform. And so we're in market now and we're branded as an executive operations platform. We initially, if any of you had been to our site, was kind of like a modern tool for, modern software for executive assistants. And we've since repositioned that branding around an exec ops platform. And so our mission is to help all of you um, have a better kind of work lifestyle and better tooling and more like bells and whistles on top of your Google and Outlook platforms, integrated into Slack and Teams and Zoom as well to start. And then we're going to expand that portfolio. So what I'll do is I'll throw here in the chat, I will put our website so that everybody um, you can kind of go and see. I guess that didn't link. Let me do that again. Um, And you can kind of see how we're positioning the platform, what our product features are. And you can also go ahead and sign in if anyone wants to follow along today in Outlook. You just basically log in through your Outlook credentials. Google, we take you to a form that you need to fill out where we do a little bit of a manual onboard to flip a switch on the back end. For now, that's going to go away here in a couple weeks. It'll be just a seamless login process. But we are live. And so what I will do is share the platform. And what I think is important to cover is we're not replacing EAs. That's never been our mission. There is a thousand tools. There are a thousand tools out there that are virtual assistants. And I think all of you who are professionals in this industry know very well, like you can't replace your job. The contextual knowledge, the food allergies, the preferences, the drivers, all of the things that you need to know in order to be successful for your executive. AI and all this, like, AI is going to take your job, clickbait sort of headlines are absurd. It's not anywhere close, right? It's lawyers are going to lose their jobs too, and I'm going to lose my job, and all these things that you see. I think it's like laughable. People, it's the media, like article publishing companies trying to get clicks and run ads, right? The reality of the job is that it's highly complex. It takes humans. There's a lot of uncertainty. And so what we want to do is build a software platform and put AI tools front and center. But what we're doing with AI is different. What you'll see today when I show you that part is that we're not just writing poems and meeting summaries and things that you see with a lot of these other AI tools. We've actually built a series of 9 agents, which you don't really have to worry about on the back end. But we do what's called agentic AI. And you'll start to see more and more things in the news if you haven't heard already about agentic. Our AI actually runs your tools. Like you can say, create a contact, email this person, check these calendars. Great, give me a list. Now schedule that 3:30 time and add a Zoom call to it. And it actually runs your tooling over the top. So we're quite a bit ahead of what Microsoft and Google are doing with Copilot and Gemini in that respect. And so we're positioning it into this tool where, and I know Courtney loves this use case, where you're driving in your car and you say like, "Hey, check the availability for, Tim and Rodrigo." And great, list them out. Okay, great, lock in that 3:30 time, and you can do that with microphone, and it actually will interact and place the event on the calendar, so you can do things on the go. Now it's early days for us, right? We're launching the AI stuff with a beta label on it because AI is a bit unpredictable sometimes, right? And we don't want to say it works every single time, but it's like working like 80%, 90% of the time if you give it a good query and you kind of understand that it can, add, edit, update, contacts, calendar events, and emails and things. So once you kind of get familiar and play around with the system, you'll see the power of it. And then we are hoping that in the beta that many of you will go on, run some queries. Some of them will work, you'll be amazed. Some of them will break. And then we put a little button in the UI where you can report back and say like, hey, this didn't work. And then we'll be constantly trying to understand what are you trying to get it to do. And then we can do the back end engineering and tooling to say like, oh, here's a set of use cases where people want to do multi-person meetings and we've gotten a few queries in that people are flagging this week. Let's focus some engineering hours on making that work. And then we spin that around pretty quick. So that's how we're developing now. But the other main problem that we identified in talking to so many EAs through this process was that the number one time suck. All right, who knows what the number one time suck is across 400 EAs consistently that we hear? What takes the most time in your career, your day to day? Anybody want to go off mute and shout?
Thinking calendars, trying to find availability for all the different execs.
Yeah, and I see international meetings in the chat. That's right, Jacqueline. That's true.
Absolutely. And travel,
And travel. Yep, travel. I know that.
international travel.
Yeah, yeah. And I wouldn't say that international travel is something that we're solving for right now, right? That you're going to be in Navan and Concur and all these different tools, right? Trying to find like good hotels. We're going to head in that direction soon. We're going to centralize itineraries and upcoming pending travel and everything in the homepage dashboard and give you kind of the power of that is in the beginning is very simple, which is right now, if you have like a exec who has an itinerary over in Concur, You have to go to Concur. You have to go to your itineraries. You're like 4 clicks deep to get over there. We're gonna put all of your execs on the dashboard and all their upcoming trips, so you can just click on a trip and go straight into that one, kind of like a mission control. So that's like that. That's a very simple way of being kind of this power bookmarking engine across all your apps. But these are some of the early like low-hanging fruit places we're going to start by integrating into Concur and Navan next, as well as Expensify, which is what we're working on right now on the roadmap. But the number one thing, if I were to characterize it, is scheduling group meetings. And Microsoft, Google, Calendly, Cal.com, all these different platforms, some of the EA more marketed ones, VimCal, all that have really failed in this. So what I'm going to demo today, how we have solved for helping to semi-automate the scheduling of group meetings, both internally and externally. And by that, the power of the tool, I use it for one-on-ones all the time, and we're going to release more functionality that's going to be kind of like similar to Calendly and these other kind of commodity tools, as we refer to them, how it's built into Google and Outlook now, where you can send your availability for a day and somebody can book. That's very easy. I'll show you what we're doing, which is how do you resolve a meeting when you're trying to get 5 people in a room and you can only see a couple of their calendars and their calendars are all busy and all the normal everyday thing that I've been dealing with in my career as well for 20 plus years. How do you solve that and how do you dynamically manage that? So I'm going to start today by demoing our scheduler so that you can see. And Courtney, give me a quick time check. Is this a 30-minute meeting?
It's 60, so um, whenever,
Great.
however long you want to take it is fine. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, great. So any quick pause here before I get oh, can you see that? Here you go. Anyways, it's like my second or third cup of coffee. Yeah. Before I'm over caffeinated and talking a million miles an hour. Um, any quick comments or questions based on kind of that overview which I improvised right now? Okay.
Buckle up, guys. This is amazing. So
Okay.
excited.
Cool. So and for any of you who want to go and just click through the website and log in, feel free. You can drive along and see how this works. So here we go. Welcome to Execify. I'm actually going to go in through a Google org. Okay, I'm going to go in as Sam Hawkins. Sam Hawkins is an EA to a couple of execs. So we have an org set up here with about 4 people. And I'll orient you quickly to the platform as I go through the authentication pathway. Do you see what that looks like? And the first place we land is our dashboard. Okay. So this is kind of what I was alluding to when I was talking about having these widgets and everything that are going to tie into all of your application footprint across your executives. But this probably doesn't make sense at first, except look, what you can see here is I'm actually logged into 3 different inboxes. I'm looking at everybody's calendar. I have a notification system and I'm running tasks across these accounts. So the way that our system is designed is here's our organization. And let me move the little zoom window so it's not blocking my clicking. Okay. Um, and you can see that you can start an organization on this plan. I'm on an enterprise plan with 4 seats. I can manage the seats. I can invite new members to the organization. And the first place to start, a little bit boring, but you can come in here, connect up your Zoom, Slack. If you're in a Microsoft environment, Teams will appear here. And you can receive and grant permissions. So this is really important to understand as kind of a starting place for what the architecture is. So so here are our execs. We have 2 execs and another EA, Luke, on our team. So Robert and Olivia are the execs, and they in this particular instance, you can see that they've given me permissions to do these things. My EA colleague has not given me permission to do anything against their account. And then I, just for the sake of demo, have granted a bunch of permissions on my own account, Sam Hawkins, to the group. You also then have the ability to go into each of your calendars and share that with the executives. So if I wanted to share my internal calendar with Olivia and give her read and write access, I can simply do that here. So all of the calendars will surface. So the only thing that your executive needs to do is click on their invite link come here, give you permissions, click, preferably all the boxes, go on here and give you access to whatever calendars they want you to see. Because in many cases, excuse me, I have a little cough. In many cases, they may have like a family calendar or a doctor calendar or something they don't necessarily want a permission. So you have those fine-grained calendar permissions. Once you have the organization configured, right, which is literally you can get one set up in like 5 minutes if everyone knows what to do. And even some EAs have clicked on their exec links and just enabled it really quick. And so you get an organization set up like this. Once you have this, you can then work across the top of these accounts. So you're pulling in everybody's calendars. I'm not going to be able to demo everything. We have like an over-the-top tagging system. This is pretty interesting because what you can do is you can create these tag pairings and you can normalize. I'm going to move really, really quick, but you can normalize like, so you can say, you can create a tag over the top. And even though my different execs use different color codings for their one-on-ones, I can still then go over the top with a tagging system and normalize being able to see all of the one-on-one meetings, for example, or when people are working out of the New York office. A lot of this isn't necessarily tagged right now, but it allows you another layer to standardize your tagging system across the organization, and you can share that with your team and set up these like custom tags, which ties into the analytics. So if there's any projects, meeting categories, things like that, that you need to report out on in the dashboard and analytics, you can set that up for your organization, which is very important for some organizations. So back to the scheduler though. Again, the way this works is the goal is to schedule a group meeting. So I'll frame one up that I think is somewhat accurate to the real world. So let's call it like the EA Wiz Summit. And the first thing is, whose calendar do we want to put this on? So I can choose the organizer or the event owner. And in this case, let's choose Olivia. And we want to set up a meeting for 30 minutes. We can give it a description and we enter participants. Now, I'll choose some internal executives that are part of, our organization. So we have Robert. I'm going to, in this case, invite myself. The another account that we use for testing is this Yuki Tanaka.execify at Gmail to represent an external account. So what I'll do is I'll actually show you what Yuki's experience is on her side, so you can understand what a external person or even an internal person would experience in terms of providing their availability. And so what we'll do is we'll say, okay, we need to come up with a meeting time that works for Olivia, Robert, Sam, and Yuki. So quick kind of pulse check, but does this represent um, like a real world scenario for many of you? Seeing some head, I see a little grid with a few people. I see some head nods. So I hope I'm on track here with our research and build. So usually what happens is I learn how to manage Zoom windows in the middle of a meeting. Let's see. Okay. Is you're starting from a place of your executive where the first screen that we take you to is basically like an analysis screen where you'll be able to see all the calendars that you have access to. You can go in here. On this demo, we don't have multiple calendars. I probably should set up multiple calendars. I think we do for Sam here. But you can choose to show which of their calendars that you want to analyze. You can see all the events. We highlight in this light green the meeting times for 30 minutes for all the calendars that you can see that are open. So you can do a quick visual glance and say, oh, there's some times. The quickest thing to do is just hit next week, and we'll give you 4 times that are open. And then you can, just cycle through them and say, oh, well, they don't, you can move these sliders actually to drive the logic. So it'll keep the meetings if you want to like find a time between 10 and 3, for example, right? You're gonna be able to do that and hit the slider and say, okay, those options look pretty good, except I know Friday's bad. So I'm gonna do that. And actually I'm gonna offer up this time on Thursday. And this working lunch never actually happens, so I'm gonna offer that time as well. So you typically want to zone in on anywhere from like 3 to 5 or 6 times, depending on the scenario, so that people have some optionality to pick from. And then the goal is we're going to resolve across this group of people in a semi-automated way, what time is going to be optimal. So once you pick the times that you want to offer, you get to this screen, which I laugh because I know Courtney's given some awesome feedback on this recently. We're trying to make this more intuitive. So I'll walk you through it so that you understand, and then we'll be working on the UI. But what this screen is doing is you're setting up all the automation logic. And once you learn, there's about 6 or 8 buttons. Once you learn them, it's like click, 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 send. But I'll walk you through each one. So the first one at the top is when you send somebody either a Slack, a Teams message, or an email, or at least for email for clarity's sake, who do you want that to come from? If I turn it off, then I'm sending notes, as you can see in the hover over, as Sam Hawkins. It's going to come as an email from me saying something along the lines, and I'll show you of like, hey, click this link to respond with what works for you. If I do that, it's going to come from Olivia. This allows you, kind of like if you've ever used Doodle in the past, I'm sure many of you have. This allows you to determine whether or not people who are responding will see other people's responses in a matrix. And then I don't have a Zoom account turned on for Sam for this demo account because we have to pay for licenses. But in this case, we'll add a Google Meet. Now, the first thing that typically happens is you think, okay, what's the order of operations here in the real world? And this is where our scheduler varies quite a bit from other offerings out there and starts to really differentiate. Is you usually need to find out availability from like either an external person, because you're already kind of operating off of times internally that you know might work. Now you need to find out from someone internally in a different department where you can't see their calendar or they're just jammed up with tons of stuff. You need to understand, from them first what works before you want to send a note to the next couple of people. So what we've built is the idea of staging. So you can add a stage and you can bump people around the stages. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer times to Yuki first. I'm going to send her an email. I'm not going to send her holds. Holds place holds on people's calendars, but they don't send all the spammy hold emails. We actually don't do that email send. So it's a little more elegant for internal. And I'm going to send it to Yuki first. And then based on what she responds, we're going to then propagate the remaining availability to the next group of participants. Now, bells and whistles as we go, as we've talked to a lot of people said, well, I don't want to send it to Yuki. I want to send it to Yuki's EA. And so you can actually add in somebody's assistant that will get their link and answer on their behalf, but then it's still linked to the executive's calendar. So I won't do that in this example right now, but it adds a little nested row in here. And then you have the ability to send them emails and holds and things like that as well in a similar fashion. Now, once I get a response back from Yuki, I actually want this to pause. If I uncheck this, it'll auto proceed into processing the next group of people after she responds. But I'm going to say pause because this is the use case where I might need to go back and forth with Yuki. In fact, I used this tool this morning to schedule a Google onboard with someone. Later today, they had provided like Friday and Monday as good times, and then they responded back and said, oh, I can actually have some time today. So because I had this kind of in a pause state, I was able to add a few more times for today and then just say, okay, use the same link and there's some times for today. And then they booked and it completed. So this pause is very helpful for you to kind of hash out these various stages. So what'll happen is Yuki will respond. This stage will pause. This option here, exclude unavailable times, is like if Yuki says I can't do the Monday at 2 o'clock or the Thursday at 3, do you want those basically to disappear as options for the next group of people, or do you want to include them? So you have the option there. Our position on development and designing products is you need to have all options at your disposal because we hear all different versions from different EAs. What about this case or this scenario? And so we always try to make it like you can do this or that. It makes the UI have a lot of different features, but once you learn them, you'll see how flexible the tool is. And then you even have this sub feature where if somebody says maybe, so if Yuki says maybe, do I want to count that as a bookable time or not? So that's a little subtlety that's built in here. I'm going to say, no, let's not count maybes as times that Yuki wants to do. So hopefully that makes sense. I want to pause real quick. Any interim questions so far before I go to stage two? And Mayumi, to answer your question here, no. Like in this example, I will show you, and I'll show you Yuki's experience here as I send this out. Yuki does not have a license. She's an external person. She's basically just getting kind of like a link to respond back, and all the booking will happen. Now, for if you want to book for your executive and have them be the event owner and the calendar owner and everything that I showed you in the organization setup, those are license holders to unlock that functionality. So the license holders in Execify are both the executive operations team as well as the executives, although the executives aren't really like day-to-day or power users of the application itself. But we need to pull in their calendars and give you the permissions to do everything in order to facilitate the model of the application. And so I'm reading the rest of your question. Yeah, so hopefully that answers it. And then it syncs up everybody's tools. So you're effective. Like what's so unique about our platform is right now I'm operating across 4 accounts in one tab. And I'll show you the email. I've got, 3 inboxes in one. I have tasks that connect to everybody. I have contacts that I can manage across the team. So I'm actually logged into like, if I were logged into Zoom and Teams, I would be logged into like 3 different Zoom accounts all at the same time. I have the ability to add anybody's Zoom accounts to meetings and things like that. And so concerns in terms of data security, no, not really. We've gone out of our way we've spent 6 figures so far on compliance and security to make sure this is all bulletproof. And the permissioning grid that I showed you, like, hey, can this person send emails on my behalf? Can they see my calendar? All of that is respected by the AI system. It's like the first thing we check is basically, do you have access to this data so that we never surface anything through the AI to get any leakage? And all the permissions are controlled effectively by the executive would be clicking that. And then we keep a log of any actions you took against their account if there was ever any malicious behavior. And so on the data being uploaded to the cloud, that is a sort of mixed response. There's a lot of data in the platform. Email data is not. Our email client surfaces your email from either the Outlook or the Google servers and gives you a UI and creates functionality there, but we don't actually store any of your email in our databases. That was a design decision so that we could get past these questions because we thought that would be a red flag. However, calendar data is synced with the system, and we keep a local sync copy of calendar data in order to provide all the functionality.
I just love the stages. Like so many times, like I'll go to schedule a meeting and, for availability and, I want senior leadership. We need to, come to a decision on availability first before, VPs start chiming in and just being able to designate those senior leadership before. And or on the other side of it, like if I'm the VP, I don't want to have to keep checking like, oh, did Megan answer yet? Or did she
Right.
know when to chime in? So now I know that when I get the email, I just respond to it.
Exactly. So there's a little like, especially internally, there's a little bit of a learning curve because I measured multiple Slack threads. And Mayumi, I hope that answers your questions. Keep throwing them in there, everyone. That's super helpful. Um, so Courtney, that's a great point. And so I'll keep going because what we've measured when I look through, like some EAs have provided long Slack threads or full email threads, like this is what it takes to get this meeting scheduled. And we went through and counted keystrokes and clicks and everything, and we found that our tool gave them like a 95% click reduction in scheduling. 95%. Like it's kind of crazy because all you're doing is checking these boxes. So let me keep moving so everyone can see like where we're going with this. So Yuki will respond, then it's gonna pause so that I can review it. I could have it auto progress, but for the demo, we'll have it pause so we can look at it. Then it's gonna bump to stage 2. Then I'll move a little quicker now that you're getting the flow. So Olivia and Robert and Sam, these are all internal people. Okay. So let's say for Olivia, I don't want to offer times. I just want to auto book Olivia, and I'm going to protect her calendar by sending holds. Now, as times are eliminated, let's say there were 2 or 3 people here and you got some no's, like Olivia would have 6 holds right now. And as stage 1, started to play out, some of those holds would just dynamically disappear based on these settings. So you're not blocking all that time, but you're protecting it and reserving it around this operation. I could pause before I finalize. I could add another stage and say, bump Sam down. I won't do that because it's just, more going on right now. But there are cases where you want to have 3 or 4 stages. You're trying to set up like coordination, summits and things like that. You've got 20 people in here. You need to figure out the best time for everybody. And so we'll auto book these people, send holds, but we'll say, okay, for Sam though, we're going to send Sam a Slack because we can't see Sam's calendar and Sam is maybe, optional or whatever, but I could also send holds. And I can say also send her an email to make sure it gets through. Now, the next step that I can do is if I want to customize the messages to everybody, okay, then I can go in here and I can say, okay, the message that I want to send to both of them or one of them, I can then choose from templates. So we provide some out of the box, like urgent scheduling request, and it embeds these. Or I can basically start from scratch here and say, like, hi, first name. So I think you get the point. Many of you have seen tools like this. But let's just send them like the urgent one, okay? And it's got the link in there. And then that's it. We're going to start the scheduling process. So the next thing I'll do is I'll pull open Yuki's account. So let me just go over here really quick. So I'm now going into Yuki. Okay, this is our external person. And here I have an email from Olivia Romano, right? Because we chose to send them as Olivia to Yuki that says, hello, oh, you know what? I don't have a first name in there for Yuki, so it pulls the email, which I want to actually address, but that's a different thing. This is early days, right? This is the feedback we're looking for from people. Like, hey, it does this, and that's the kind of stuff we can change in 10 minutes, right? And so Yuki then gets this link and is presented with the options. Now, this has some new stuff that you've never seen because Yuki can comment on every time and say like, I'd be 5 minutes late for this one, for example. Does she want that to go to the organizer or to be private or public? We'll make it public, which means that the participants can see it. So Yuki's added a note, but also said, I can do it, but I'll be 5 minutes late. Maybe I can't do that one, so I won't check yes, but I could also do this one. And I'm going to say that's my favorite time, right? That's my preferred time. And I could say like, please this one. And so as these comments accrue, like it allows your participants who are getting these responses to do a little bit of self-organization. Because if somebody's already replied, they can see their answers, they can see their notes if they made them public, and it allows people to kind of pull rank and kind of work through this process. Also, if you re-click the link, you can resubmit your answers if the meeting hasn't finalized. And if it has, you'll get a screen that says this meeting's already been scheduled. Please reach out to the organizer. And you can create a general comment. And then the participant, here I've got my little cookie warning. The participant has the ability to pull the holds onto their calendar as well. so that they don't double book themselves. And that means that Yuki will just put holds for the 2:30 and 3 o'clock time on the 29th and 30th and say, okay, I want to submit that. There's my answer. Now, if I go back now to Sam's screen, you can see that the answer immediately comes through to Sam's dashboard. So you go and you're, checking your tasks or, working on your multi-inbox email kind of triage stuff. You're doing other things, right? You're back in regular Google, you're back in regular Outlook. Like we don't break anything, it just syncs, right? Nothing is impacted if you turn Execify off or anything like that. I think is worth noting. And then you get notifications, right? Oh, and you see, oh, Yuki accepted. Let me go work on this event. So you can see it's paused now because we had said when Yuki responds, pause it because we want to see. Okay, well, she gave two answers. That's good enough. And so I bet Sam will do one of these. And if Sam doesn't want to do one of these, or maybe in many cases, I already have enough information now. I might not even want to let this play out. I can just click on here and just say finalize and book this meeting at that time or this time. So you have like the override. Or also, you know what? Yuki just called me on the phone and Yuki said she can't do this time anymore. So I can go in and override it and just say declined, and it'll remove that option for Yuki. So you have full control as an EA. So this is like your power tool. You decide, you know what, I need to add some more times. You kick back here. It's going to add more times. You grab Yuki's link, you send it back to her, say, hey, I added 3 or 4 more times. Could you please let me know if any of those also work? And then that's going to append and expand the time options. But let's say we're happy with this. We get status, right? Okay, we see now that Yuki has holds on her calendar. Yuki got an email. Yuki's responded. You have a legend down here. It's paused. And now we're going to kick to stage 2. So we say continue scheduling. So you can see that we're waiting on Sam. Well, I just ran into Sam in the hallway. Sam said, no problem. I can do either time. Or if I click that link, it doesn't really make sense because we are Sam in this case, but I think everybody gets it. So look, Sam only has 2 options when she shows up at this screen in stage 2, because we chose to reduce the available times based on Yuki's response. So Sam can now come in here and say, oh, you know what? Oh, I see Yuki's comment. And I say like, me too, same meeting, right? I'm going to be 5 minutes late. Maybe add some information in. This is all part of the self-organization kind of thing. You get because we made those comments public, you can always mark them as private. You get a little feed, so you have a little bit of a dialogue happening around getting this meeting organized. So what's happening here? What's happening is I don't have 35 messages in Teams. What's happening is I didn't send out manually like 7 emails. So if you think about the amount of work done is I have checked 3 calendars. I've sent out 2 emails. I've gotten multiple responses. I've never left this screen. I've never written an email. I've never sought someone at Teams or a Slack. Like, I think we all have our processes, and it's a little bit of a shift, and it's not going to work for everything, right? There's going to be times you need to hash it out in a Teams thread, no doubt. We don't expect to be a panacea for that. But in many cases, the organization gets used to this model, you'll realize, oh, it's so much easier to go in, add the people, click, 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 the logic, send. And then you have your dashboard that you're watching, and you can see um, the status of where you are. Now, these are all kind of in proposed time / pending. But there we have, for Sam. So if Sam says, okay, well, I can only really do that one, let me submit that. Then if I go back to the dashboard, you'll see that information immediately propagates through the system, through the cloud, and the logic compiles. And now you get some confetti if you happen to be on this screen. And the meeting is now scheduled. And you get a log of all the order of how things played out. So if someone's like, I never saw a Slack, you're like, well, you know what? I sent you a Slack at,
I
January
love
22nd.
every meeting tells a
It
story and
came
then
from the Execify bot and it had the link for the meeting and you never responded, or you got the email on Tuesday at 8 a.m., right? And so what's happened here is we now have successfully automated the scheduling of a multi-stage meeting across 4 participants. And so that is our tool and how we've designed the scheduler. So I'd love to pause and hear any feedback on whether or not this could be useful, or questions or whatever folks think.
it's just so valuable seeing that, like, who held up the meeting, who will, sometimes like my boss would ask me, well, what happened to Thursday at 2? You can go back and see like who it was that wasn't available then, and then figure out, okay, well, is that person, do they have to come or can they send in a delegate? Like you do the homework just on one screen and you're not having to send email after email after email and, you know, take up hours of your day. I love it.
I have a question about communicating as your executive,
Yeah.
because it sounds like I think it's a feature that I would love. So is that kind of it sends out an email and it's in your executive's name. Like, so it's as if your executive is sending out the email. So my
Yeah.
question is if that only works though if you have access to your executive's inbox, correct? Or can you
Yes.
do it without access, but I'm just concerned about the response. Like I would want to be sure that I could see the response.
Yes. So that you can only send it if you have this permission.
Right. Okay. Got
You
it.
could only see their emails, like so
Hmm.
you can send but not read their emails, so that you
Hmm.
could use the scheduler. So it's a
Hmm.
slight variant, right, on the permissioning. But
Right.
you would have, if you have that checked, then what you have effectively is this, their entire inbox,
Okay.
right? And then we've built a full email client here that's synced to
Hmm.
Outlook and Google. So you can actually work on email from here. And we're adding things like that Google and Outlook don't have. The other reason we have that is because you can interact with everything across AI, which is the next thing I'll show you. But let's talk about the scheduler for a few minutes because I'm always looking for feedback here because we think this is a tool that everybody can use sort of like today.
Matt, so you cannot send a meeting, or you cannot make your executive, the owner of a meeting, um, without having read write or without having write access to his email. Is that right? Like you can't just,
No, that is that is related to calendar. So there's two concepts. One is messaging and emailing.
right.
Okay. So that comes in here. So messaging, like can you read and write Slacks for Olivia?
Okay.
Can you write emails for Olivia? Can you read emails for Olivia? Oops, sorry. Um, that's here. And then, oh, you know what? You know, it's kind of interesting. So this is me giving permissions on the calendars, and I guess what I'm realizing that doesn't isn't so obvious, but what is here and works is here's all the calendars that I have access to here. You get, and then the to answer your question, Courtney, and you're making me realize there's a little bit of a gap in terms of like making this obvious. But if you want to schedule and make your exec the owner of an event that you're working on the schedule, then they kind of need to give you like read and write to whatever calendar they want you to be able to schedule on. So they might just give you one sub calendar called meetings. And then they hide like their doctor calendar and their board meeting like but not in your positions, right? For the most part, they'll
Right.
probably just give you all of them, but maybe they hide like the medical appointment one that they just kind of do themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, so it's there, but I'm taking a note too because I feel like we haven't obviated that in a sufficient way yet. So that's good to know. Okay, any more? I mean, help me out, y'all.
I
Would
actually
you use this?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Annie.
How are you? Thanks so much for this. So currently, I don't have access to my manager's email, so I can't read or write an email. Well,
Mhm.
I can't read his emails, but what I can do is I can send an email on his behalf in Outlook. So how
Okay.
does here?
Yeah, so that would actually be would be the same. So your executive would log in and they would see your name here. They would see
Yeah, just
Kojunzi.
Annie is fine.
How do you
Sorry.
say it though? How do you say it?
It's Kayunzia. If you take the J, it's
Kojunzia.
capitalized. Yeah, it's Croatian.
Oh, nice. Kojunzia. All right. So they would see Annie Kojunzia here. And they would just have to say, um, uh, oh, this is interesting. We have this word organize here. It should just say send. I want to ask the developers why they snuck that term in, if there's any implication. But basically, they could just say they could give you permissions like that, maybe. And so you could set when you're in the scheduler, the box would not be grayed out. If they haven't given you this permission, then when you're in the scheduler, and what I mean by that is there's a button at the top like send messages as, your exec or yourself, basically. If they haven't given you that, then that box is going to be grayed out and the scheduling messages are going to come from your email. If they have given you that permission, then you'll have the option to send them as under your executive's name. Not only under their name, but actually from their email inbox or outbox.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? I literally was getting pinged by my manager.
Yeah,
Got
yeah,
distracted, so my apologies. I'm like, wait, stop. Okay,
yeah, no worries. So the answer is you can do the same thing you do now, is the
right,
short answer. So it
okay,
does work, it is supported. Your exec, all they would have to do is click on their invite link, come to this page, and click just that box, and then you're at parity of your situation today. Once they click on that box, Annie, when you're using the scheduler, there's a button that says, hey, when you send emails, who do you want the emails to come from? Yourself or your exec? That box will be grayed out if they haven't checked that because you don't have permission to send emails on their behalf. And in that case, the meeting invite links and stuff, like you could, I know it's a little confusing. You can still place things on their calendar if you have calendar permissions, but you can't send emails on their behalf. But if they check this box, then it's just like what you do today. You can send emails on their behalf. So I think what you're describing is fully supported right now.
perfect.
Matt, I'll go ahead and I'll just read the questions real quick. If we could save 5 minutes at the end, I'd love for you to talk about, you know, uh, it will, if you could, I want you to touch on the AI and just the tasks and, just showing like those features.
Oh yeah.
But, but,
We're running low on time, so I'll keep
yeah, we're
moving.
running low on time. And so they're asking, is there a limit to the number of calendars you can have?
No, no limit at all.
Okay. And then, Ilka, did you want to
Oh,
just come off mute real
yeah,
quick?
thanks.
I'm
My
gonna just
question,
do, I'm gonna also, while I answer questions, just do stuff so people
Yeah,
see.
okay.
awesome.
So my question, and you might have addressed this, is let's say I have a meeting, so I have my department, so I will come up like with 5 times, and then what I do is I send an email to the executive assistants for the different officers. So I was just wondering, do you allow that? Like the email, it's executive assistant for Bob, executive assistant for Mary. I didn't catch that, so I don't know if you've captured that ability.
Oh, meaning you have like different email aliases that you use within your Outlook.
No,
No,
no.
you showed
So,
us, Matt,
so
how it's built in where you can say you can have it go to the EA of the executive. You showed us that feature that's built in.
okay,
It is
okay, then you
it's
have
built
it.
in.
Okay,
Oh
thank you.
yeah,
That's it.
that's a good question. Like, so if I just, move really quick here and say something like set up a meeting like this, what it is, and you can see once you get good at it, it's all quite quick. Um, so if you're like need to invite Yuki, is this what you're at to a meeting? But you don't want to send Yuki the invite
Yeah.
because that's rude because Yuki's the CEO of a major corporation and it makes no
Yeah.
sense to send her an email. Then
Yeah.
you actually
Okay.
hit
Thank
that
you.
and send it to their EA and then they answer on their behalf and it links into the actual executive's calendar though with the final invites and everything.
That was a question. The other question is, I don't think I can use this at work. Courtney, are you able to? I mean, I have a lot of controls here.
I'm working on it.
Okay, thank you.
But I'm working on it. In the meantime, it's just to make sure I go to my work and like make this pitch like as solid as I can. It's you can actually sign up for a free account for up to 2 users, right, Matt? Is that how it works? So that's how
Yeah.
I've been playing with it.
So this that what I'm showing in the background is our AI. So I'm doing like a calendar check for two of my executives using AI. So this is something you can do, of course, with voice and stuff too. So once you have your execs in here, we recognize like who Robert and Olivia are, and we're able to find a common time because their calendars are pretty jammed up. We write a calendar script that creates all these fake kind of executive sounding events. So what I can do from AI is say like, yeah, like schedule um schedule a 4 p.m. that day for 45 minutes with a Google Meet. And so you can actually interact and schedule and query emails and look for spam and really do anything. So this is what I mean by something you've probably never seen before. So here I am querying two executives' calendars. This is great with you hit the microphone button when you're jumping in the car. Tell me when my exec has 30 minutes next Friday. Great. Schedule that with boom, boom, boom at this email that you're like reading off of a different screen. All these things become possible. So here I am saying, NREI says, do you want to confirm this, that you want to create a meeting on Robert's primary calendar, a meeting with Robert and Olivia at 4 o'clock, that day to these participants. And you can hit enter or hit continue. And what it's actually going to do, you'll see over here, the related items, it actually created like a meeting event. And it's processing that logic, confirming everything. And then through those two prompts, oh, look, and it actually recognized that on the first one, that it didn't add conferencing. So the logic picked it up as it continued to process it and added a Google Meet like I had asked. And so that's why it's beta. Sometimes the order, sometimes things look a little like funky, right? Because we can't like um, always do that. But basically, it created that event on the calendar. So if I were to go over, so this is what January 30th from 4 to 4:45. And if I go to January, sorry, my Zoom window is in the way. January 30th from 4 to 4:45. Using AI, I just scheduled a meeting with two of my executives without ever having to look at my calendar. Um, and it lands it in free time. Now, and you can see, right, that actually did correctly identify free time on the calendar and find a gap.
And he did
Other,
it driving to the gym at 9 o'clock at night and did it from his car and didn't even open his like it's amazing. Everyone in the chat's loving it. Matt, did you say that you're willing to? I know it sucks that we're out of time today, but um, uh, they can register for an account and you'll set up a time with you to kind of one-on-one.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're in the business of enabling right now. We're basically every day scheduling Zoom calls one-on-one with people. So there we go. List my three most recent emails. Great. Archive them. So let me show you one more thing. And this is where the power really comes in. So you start to get, this is like a very quick demo. You start to see now that you understand. So do you want to archive this thread? And so we have this thing called confirmations, right? We always want to confirm that like you can check the fields, check what it's doing, and then say, yes, that is correct, because we had that turned off and it just starts doing stuff and it's like wild as you could imagine, because I'm like archive my entire inbox and it's like done. So it's a little scary, so we add these confirmation steps in. But let me show you the last thing, 30-second demo, which is a concept that we're really excited about, which is called AI actions. AI actions are like triggered. So manual trigger is like on demand. You can click the button and just run it. On a schedule means like, hey, every Thursday at 5 o'clock, do something with AI, right? And remember, AI sends emails and does a lot of things for us now on this platform. Or when I get an email that meets this criteria, like a trigger, then do this. So I'll show you the schedule one really quick because they're all similar in a respect, but they do different things. So let's say on Thursday at 9 a.m., I want to run an AI prompt and say, like, send the sales at mycompany.com email a note that says uh, something along the lines of make sure every sales rep updates their pipeline for tomorrow's sales call. Don't forget. Okay, so and then what I can do is say run this and we analyze like what we think you mean. Well, we do a lot of things, but we say what do you like so you can put guardrails on it. So in this it's like okay, I only want this job to draft an email and send an email. Okay? I don't want it to do any of this other stuff by accident, like keep the AI on the guardrails. Show me like everything I'm not using in terms of our assistants, right? These are like our agents. And then call this like sales uh, pipeline reminder. And this is one of like infinity examples. And then I'm going to create that action. So now I have an AI action that every Thursday at 9 a.m. out to my sales email alias writes a custom little AI note. And I could say in the prompt, send it from Olivia's email, send it from Robert's email. Send it from Roberts and CC me and tell the team this. You could, it's all about the quality. Courtney knows this as well as anyone. It's all about the quality of your prompts. So what you can do is you can set this up and say, just email it to me and then test it a couple times. And once you get it working, be like, all right, it's ready for the prime time. Now I'm going to run that thing every Thursday at 5. So this is the operational glue to do automation for you across these accounts and organization. So this is where we really want feedback on and we've gotten a lot so far. People are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm using it to like send an itinerary to my boss every morning of all their one-on-ones automatically at 7 a.m. every day. They get a nicely format, and they show us these prompts. Make a table with these 6 columns, inject it in the email, highlight anything that has this person's name on it and the quality. And then they create this like email report that goes out at 7 a.m. every day and then automate that. And then what does that do for an EA? It gives you time to work on strategy, to up level, to be like more influential in the organization because there's no way you're going to sit down at 7 a.m. every morning and craft that in such a detailed um, reliable way. And so we really hope that AI actions will help you a lot to eliminate some of the menial repetitive tasks and to do things that you would have never had time for.
When you guys
So
think about the time this will save, like in not only for your executives, but like your time, when, like explaining, when I think about like going to my boss right now and like making a case for getting this software, like the time that it's going to give me back to, in my day to work on, more projects. Um, and the fact that Matt's, he'll provide like the security sheets to, or meet with your IT, get on a call with IT to, any, I'm just really excited.
Well, no, because I have a question. Actually, I have a really, really quick question about that with the security stuff. I'm poking around and I'm looking on the website. Do you, Matt, have something? This is what I've often had to do in the past. It takes the lift off of me and having to learn like a techie language. Do you have a white paper or something? Because my leaders aren't going to meet with you. I have to put a white paper in front of them first with data and all the techie talk, what this addresses, because I'm going to have to pass it through tech and leadership. Do you have that already pre-written for me? And like,
when
so
you say that, do you mean specifically Molly, a security? Was that Molly?
yes, hi.
Sorry, no, it's all right. Do you
Yes.
mean there's a term, something we often do at our companies, a security white paper, or do you
Yes.
mean a white paper about the platform as a whole?
Kind of both. So like I'm walking
Uh,
in, I finally have the ear.
yep.
Equip me with everything that I need for people who don't want to listen to this and who don't necessarily want to give me permission. Like I need in the past, because
Yeah,
data speaks, right? And so it's like if you show me again, if I take this to my CTO and say,
yeah,
"Hey, this is locked down and good," they're going to be like, "Well, what about
yeah.
this? What about
So
that?"
Molly, if you're game, what I'd like to do, if you could send reach out to me. I think my email's maybe on the invite or something, but it's my last name, Oden at Execify.ai, or just use our contact form or whatever. I see all that stuff come across. Um, I will put together. So we have a draft right now. I will complete our draft. We also are running our second round of security penetration tests. So I can put the report data as like an appendix. Let me
Nice.
pull together a draft and send it to you. And maybe you could just give me a round or two of feedback and we'll finish that and have it for you.
Oh,
I
I'll
know
pick it
there's
apart.
more than one in here that would love that.
Yeah, that would be
Well, that'd be
great.
awesome.
I'd like
Yeah, so I think what we'll focus on is a security white paper because that's kind of an industry standard, and we'll publish our security white paper soon. Right now, it's just on our kind of in process list. You can imagine we have a lot of things to do, and so that's going to be. So this is exactly why I do these calls because it's like Molly, you just move that to the top of the list. Good job.
Yeah. Well, and I see like Raven just chimed in. What I think I'll probably do is I'll start a shared doc with the group and everybody can just kind of chime in and dump stuff in there if that's helpful.
Yeah,
That's
and if anyone wants to get an email thread and give me some feedback and tell me what we need to do to get positioned, what we're looking for right now, this is worth communicating, are
Yep.
pilots, our teams of, maybe like 4 to 10 sort of EAs and execs, like a little pod that says, okay, we're going to get a mini org set up. We're going to do a 60-day pilot. Here's some criteria. We'll give you free licenses to get started. We'll talk to your procurement and tell them what the license discount would be so they know what they're getting locked into if it's successful. And we want to build for you. During that process, we want you to say, man, I'm trying to do this, but really we need to do like, we need to show all recurring events on like a table. And, Courtney, I know does a lot of that work. We want to actually build for our pilot customers. So I'm trying to identify 5 to 10 pilots this quarter where we will actually build for you whatever you need, as long as we can agree it's like helps more people than, we're not going to make all the buttons the color of your company sort of thing, right? We're going to try and build tools that cross apply. So, what we'd want to do is have a meeting like every Friday for 30 minutes. We go over what we launched this week, reconfirm the priorities for what you need in terms of functionality. There's going to be all sorts of little requirements where you say, we need to have like sub access to this group of calendars, or this calendar is a shared like group one and it's not coming through correctly. We'll hit little bumps in the road like that. And we basically want to clear them and build for our prioritized pilots. So if anybody wants to get a pilot, we'll do that free of charge. And we have got a world-class development team that will just build for what your organization needs so that we can be successful and show adoption in the market so we can get our next round of funding raised.
Guys, do you know how huge this is? Like what he's offering? Like it's I think we're gonna be in a race to go to our executives for sure.
It's gonna be fun. Like I think hopefully you see today that like we really know how to build world-class software. And so we want to build for you. And we release like anywhere from 10 to 30 features a week right now. Now, a lot of them you can't see. It's like back end stuff, but you're going to start seeing if you go on and register for our mailing list or stay in the loop or whatever on the website, you'll see you're going to start getting an email every week or two. It's going to be like, here's 4 new things, here's 5 more new things, right? And we're going to start pumping out feature changes. And a lot of those are going to be coming out of our pilot requirements. So we're ecstatic. I get so excited talking to groups like you. Courtney, thank you. Thank you so much for bringing me on. Please
Yeah.
send my email to folks. Like we're in business. We're looking to cut like great early customer deals and lock in, long term. We launched a promo today for that went out to a couple thousand people that were on our wait list, where we released 100. For now, we'll see how quickly they go because these do take approvals because we're like a business software for the most part. But we released 100 coupons for 50% off all license levels for life. So if you had like a 10-person enterprise org, that would be $6,000 a year for the enterprise, which is actually incredibly competitive. we'll knock that down to 3,000 for the year for 10 people to have licenses on the platform. So it's like sort of a killer sweetheart deal early on for the people who get working with us. So if that's a carrot, Molly or anybody for the organization to say like Execify is willing to work with us, this is not going to be expensive. I think it's worth communicating. We're not looking to make a lot of money day one. That'll come over 5, 10 years, right? As we build this company. Right now, we need to solve problems and get people using it and giving us feedback so we can build the best software in the industry and be carve out the category in software of executive operations or exec ops because it doesn't exist yet.
Thanks, Matt. I have the email addresses of those that are interested in doing this like sidebar security thread, and I would just suggest in the meantime, you can create that free account, link it to your personal email just so you can get on here and play. Like he didn't even dig into everything this platform does. So, play with it so you have like the knowledge to, to really sell it because this is really, I mean, this is changing everything and what the capabilities are just today are insane.
We hope. And Molly, one more thing to tell everyone is that one of our investors and one of my principal advisors on the company is like a top 3 security person at Facebook.
Well, so that helps. So that's the kind of stuff. That's what I mean. Is like we have to give this street cred to it. And when you give me that paper or whatever you produce, you have that on there saying that.
Yeah. I'll put a link to his bio like in an email that would accompany that paper. And then Chris Price is his name. Chris would be willing to join any calls for any deals we're putting together. He's one of our investors, and he. Hopefully I can get him on board to, one day leave Facebook and come run security for us.
Well, and I'm already thinking I'll probably just go back through some old files and see if I can stir up one of like the requests that I've had in the past to get like an outline for you maybe of the things that
that would be amazing. Yeah, whatever you can feed us, then, I can work on producing that and getting everything in. And they might say, okay, we've got some questions here. Looks like you've got an audit pending there. But I think overall our story is going to be pretty world class. I've done a lot of these in the enterprise space and at other companies.
Yeah.
Early, but I think if we have the meeting and we bring on the right people, they'll see that we're the real deal and we take this stuff seriously.
Yeah, I got to do this before I get to a meeting. I get it passed through tech on a paper and legal compliance. So I've got like kind of 3 different like jargons to speak before
so
even like give me the time of day to be like, okay.
Yeah. So let's do it. Let's do a couple revs to make sure you feel confident. And then if you have any hard requirements, they have to be SOC 2, they have to be this, like let us know. And then I could flag and say, okay, Molly, I'm going to need 5 weeks on that. So let's just pause, work on the draft, and I've got placeholders. But if they need that, we're doing our final audit, for example, for SOC 2 at the end of this quarter.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm down to help.
Awesome.
Matt, thank you so much for coming on. You guys, thanks so much for coming. I put Matt's email just now in the chat again. Please reach out to him, connect. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, Courtney, for having me. Really appreciate everybody's energy, and please just like sign up, reach out. Let's get folks on test accounts or whatever, and help us be successful so that we can support you. And you've got a tool. But thank you, everybody.
Last thing, I'm seeing on EA Wiz in our little forum like a thread for AI prompts that we're using on this AI assist, and like when you build like a prompt that generates something awesome, sharing it, and I'm super excited.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
It's so thank you.
Thank you.
Courtney, thanks again for having me. And
yeah, we'll talk soon.
Connect with a bunch of you on calls and whatnot. Have a great day.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my God. Ilka, come on.
Hello. Hi. Thank you so much. I got your email encouraging me to attend, so thank you for that.
You did. I know there was another meeting at like 1 that you could have jumped on, so I thought you get a kick out of this.
Yeah, no, I'm totally interested. I love it. I just, unfortunately,
I
I
know.
can't use it at work because the company has so many controls, but
I
I
know.
love the idea and just to, kind of use it for tips for myself.
Yeah, exactly. That's what all I'm using it for now. Like it's not something I can, I'll certainly make a case, but chances are, uh, but even like just the AI part of it, like being able to, see what it can do. Like,
Yeah. No, it's good. It's
yeah,
very good. It's very helpful. So this was really awesome. I wanted to let you know I have a few more of those Perplexity Pro codes,
yeah.
and it expires at the end of this month. So if you know of anybody from the group, I approached Molly and she couldn't use it because she already had like a 1 month trial, so it didn't allow her to use it. But if there's anybody else that might
Um,
be interested,
that's so nice of you. I know what Molly are you talking about?
um, the one who gave her Gmail to everybody last week, the
Mollyist? Okay.
Mollyist, the
Okay. I was
Mollyist,
gonna say
Molly.
she's great. Um, uh,
I reached out to Anne because she
Annie.
seems like a regular.
Yeah,
If
Annie's
there's
great.
anybody else,
Okay. Yeah,
or
I'll,
you can mention it. How about if you mention in next week's meeting that I have a few, I'm not sure if it's 3 or 4 codes left, if anybody wants
that's
to
so
use
nice
it.
of you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay,
Thanks, Ilka.
good.
Okay, have a good day.
Okay.
Talk soon.
Thanks for everything.
Bye. I never
Bye.
noticed your smile. You have great teeth. Bye.
Oh, thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.